Did you know that 70% of families who hand wealth from one generation to the next, the second generation loses that wealth? And by the time it gets to the third generation, 90% of the wealth has disappeared. These facts reveal a hard truth. Most people fail to define what success means in their lives and in their business. They fail to define it correctly. If money represented success, then wealth would endure from one generation to the next. But that's simply what we do not see. What we will discuss in today's episode is a very important question that you need to define for yourself. And that is, what does success look like to you? Your definition of success will drive the majority of your behavior in your business. And in your business, your behavior determines your results. When you're focused on the money in your business, it can cause you to take shortcuts in your business. Shortcuts in the quality of the products and the services that you offer. Shortcuts in how you treat your clients. And eventually, your clients will catch on to the fact that you're treating them different than you have before. And as a result, you will lose them over the long term because you were short-sighted in your decision-making for your business. You want to deliver long-term value for your customers. Because if it's only about the money, then it's only about the transactions. How much are your customers bringing into you? Everything is about you, rather than being about your customers. You need to be about your customers and meeting their needs if you're going to have long-term success in business. The reality of the situation is this. Markets don't pay you for how hard you try. Your customers aren't going to reward you for the amount of effort that you put into it. In the end, your customers pay you for one simple fact, the amount of value that you create in their lives and the problems that you help them solve. If your business is only built on money, it can become fragile over time. So much so that when there's a shift in the market or changing economic conditions, it can completely destroy your business because it's built on the wrong foundation. In the end, when you have the wrong definition of success, it can lead to poor decision making in your business. So now we're going to study the 4 major reasons why it's important to have the right definition of success. So the first major reason that it's important to have the right definition of success is that money is an outcome. It's not a measure of success. Money will only show up in your business after value has already been created. Hard work and effort by themselves do not produce income for your business. As I said before, markets respond to results and impact, not how tired you feel, not how busy you are, not how hard you tried. It's about results. You generate income when your business is useful to others. We've talked in the past about the importance of defining who your ideal customer is and what you plan to do for them. So for example, we talked about if you wanted to target customers and your ideal goal for them was to help them improve their marriage, when you're able to help real people improve their marriage and your business is useful to your customers, that's how you're going to receive income. The more painful the problem that you solve is, the more valuable your business becomes. Okay, so having an important marriage is certainly something that can be painful, and if you can help a couple solve that problem, it will be very valuable to them, and they will reward you as a result. So income becomes more sustainable when you deliver real value, when people experience real results. They have to be able to feel it. It has to be tangible to them, and it has to have some value, whether it's economic value or whether it's emotional or logical value. There's all types of value, but it has to mean something to your customer, and that's really what's most important. The second reason why it's important to have the right definition of success is that true success is measured by value creation. The more effective and relevant your skills are as an entrepreneur, the more problems you can solve and the more indispensable you can become. But you can't do that if your focus is only money. It has to be focused on your skill sets. Because when you have good skill sets, you can make good decisions for your business that will compound over time. However, if it's only about the money to you, your ability to make decisions will probably be poor, and it will drain your business of momentum and trust. When you lead well as an entrepreneur, you raise the capacity of others to achieve more than they ever thought was possible. And that should really be what the end goal is. Getting people to achieve more than they ever thought was possible. If they think that their marriage is over, you have to help them see that their marriage isn't over and that they need to continue to work on it. One of the things that I focus on is getting people to have consistency in their daily life. You will be amazed when you have consistency in your daily life, how much confidence that will build into your life. And the only way you can do that is by having systems that allow value to be delivered consistently and reliably. I've talked about this before in time management, but trying to manage your projects in your business by a calendar is almost impossible. You need to have something that's going to keep you more accountable than a calendar. You need to have systems in place that will allow you to deliver value consistently and reliably. And finally, value-driven businesses survive market shifts and uncertainty. Because here's the point. When it's all about the money, customers aren't going to see your business as that valuable because you're not adding that much value to their lives. But when you are valuable, when people see you as valuable in their lives, your business is going to be able to survive those market shifts that are inevitable and uncertainty because people are going to come to you because they trust you ultimately. That's what it's all about. And number 3, skill sets are the real asset. You can lose your money, but if you have the skill sets, they will stay with you in any market conditions. The ability to solve problems and to make sound decisions is what consistently produces money over the long term. Here's the important point. A skilled entrepreneur can lose everything, but they can rebuild it again. Why is that? Because they have the skill sets necessary to rebuild it. But if an entrepreneur that's only focused on money isn't going to have the skill sets needed in order to rebuild his business, so his business is going to be financially fragile. If something shifts in the market, if there's an algorithm change on Google or YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, they're going to be destroyed because they don't have the skill sets. They don't have the trust with their customers to maintain that momentum that they build up over time. And here's the sad truth when it comes to passing on an inheritance. Families that pass on an inheritance to the next generation, rarely do they train them with the skill sets and the discipline to properly handle it. Now, I'm going to talk more in a moment about the destructive effects that can have on the next generation. But it's very, very important that if you're going to give an inheritance to the next generation, you have to train them to know how to properly handle it. Look, you wouldn't put your son or daughter in a car and say, yeah, why don't you drive it? No, you would teach them. You would make sure that they had the proper instructions, that they had the skill sets to be able to go out and maneuver that car and drive it safely down the road and not hurt themselves and not hurt anybody around them. Now, how much more so when driving is it important that you pass on skill sets to your children so that they can handle an inheritance when you hand it off to them. But most people fail to do that. That's why a true legacy is the transfer of skill sets to the next generation. They have to be prepared to handle it. Because if they're not, number 4, Focusing only on money will destroy the next generation. As I said previously, the statistics show that 70% of wealth is lost by the second generation. And the reason for that is that wealth without value creation produces an entitlement mentality. If you hand $1 million to a child and you don't give them the skill sets to manage it, they can squander their money in the same way that lottery winners do. I wrote about this in my book, Forgotten Secrets of Passing On Generational Wealth, how lottery winners go out there and squander their money, and wealthy children can do it in exactly the same way. And it happens because they lack the judgment and the accountability to make sound business decisions. You can literally destroy their lives when you don't prepare them to handle an inheritance that you give them. When the next generation is taught to create value, money becomes a tool that they manage rather than something that controls them. That's the important point. You want them to be able to manage that money rather than having that money control them. If it's all about the money, that money will control them. But if you give them the skill sets to properly manage it, they'll be able to handle it. You need to train them to handle what you give them. All right, so here is the application for this week. Number one, I want you to pay attention to your internal dialogue. I need you to replace these thoughts. How can I make more money? All about the money, 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 money. Replace it with how can I create more value today? How can I add more value to the lives of my customers today? Number two, treat your skill development as a long-term investment. Don't see it as something that you'll get to eventually when you have more time. Treat it as something that it is. It's worth its weight in gold if you see it as such. Number three, track your skill growth, not just your income. You need to focus on how much you're mastering things, how much the things that you're learning you're applying to your business, because that's where the long-term growth occurs. Number four, design your offers around service, not speed. Make it about how you can serve them better, what more you can do for them, not how fast they're going to pay you, not how fast you can get rid of them, but how can I add more value to your life so that I can serve you better. And then number five, improve one customer experience touch point this week. Look at your systems and your processes for your business and improve just one customer experience touch point, something that may be a point of friction that you haven't addressed in your business. Focus on that this week. And finally, number six, work on the entrepreneur before you work on your business. Focus on your skill sets so that you can be the entrepreneur that your customers need you to be. So if you found real value in this video today, be sure to subscribe to this channel where we show you how to build skill sets, create value, and be the entrepreneur that your customers need you to be. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts.